Welcome to PrepStation, SSCE tutorials, subject Geography. For this session, we'll be considering the topic earthquake. Earthquake. There are two words there, earthquake. And when we say quake, we are talking about intense vibration, for something to shake profusely. So earthquake is an intense vibration from within the earth crust that results in sudden release of seismic waves that travels from deep beneath the earth crust to the surface. Earthquakes are usually caused when underground rocks suddenly break and there is rapid motion along a fault. You can see the picture. This shows the damage associated with earthquake. The earthquake has occurred. This building has collapsed. Of course, there could be fatalities, destruction of lives and properties. Associated terminologies, origin or focus. This is the point where the shock wave originates. So the point where the shock wave originates is called the origin or focus. Epicenter. This is the spot on the surface just above the origin or the focus. Tsunamis. When earthquake hits the floor of the ocean, it sends ripples of very huge wave. This huge wave is what we call tsunamis. Primary waves. Primary waves are those compressional waves that are the first to be felt during an earthquake. They move in forward and backward motion, compressing and expanding the materials that they pass through. Secondary waves. These are waves that arrive after the primary waves, and they cause more intense shaking. Secondary waves are typically more destructive than the primary waves. We have the love waves. This is one of the surface waves. These waves cause a side-to-side shifting motion. They were named after the British mathematician Augustine Edward Love. Then we have the Rayleigh waves. These waves include both the longitudinal and transverse waves, and they travel near the surface of the solids. Their amplitude decreases as their distance from the surface increases. Causes of earthquake. Earthquake is caused as a result of movements or displacements within the basement rock or tectonic plates. These tectonic plates, they are not static. They are moving, they are floating on the molten magma. So as they are floating, they may collide with each other to cause a fault line. That's fissure. They may also, as they come across each other, they may split or displace, shift apart. They will also overlay each other as they come across each other. So the tectonic plates are always slowly moving, sometimes colliding with each other. The collision with each other creates cracks. When they come across each other, as they collide, they create the cracks or fissure. The plates can also get stuck with each other. And when they get stuck with each other, over time, when they now disconnect or release from each other, that's when they now release that wave that transmits to the surface of the earth as a seismic wave and then cause so much destruction. The intensity of the earthquake depends on two things. Number one, the extent of the shift. Remember, I told us that the rocks can come, the tectonic plates can come together. And then when they disconnect, that shift The extent of that shift will affect the intensity of the earthquake. And also, what is the size of the basement rock that has been displaced? So the second determinant of the intensity of the earthquake is the size of the basement rock that is involved in the displacements. Measurements of earthquake. The magnitude of the vibration of earthquake is measured by a special device called seismograph. And this seismograph is calibrated in scale 1 being the smallest, up to scale 10 being the highest. So this calibration is what we call the Richard scale. So earthquake is measured with a seismograph, and the magnitude or intensity is rated in the Richard scale. The scale is graded from 0 to 9, and the higher the number, the more powerful the earthquake. Earthquake that measures up to 1, 2 may be minimal, that are considered as tremor. But the ones that measure up to 7 and above are considered severe. Those are the ones that will cause the grounds to shake and buildings to collapse. Effects of earthquake. Powerful earthquake can cause landslides, tsunamis when they hit the floor of the ocean, flooding. Of course, as the tsunamis come, they will cause flooding. Death, collapse of structures, fire outbreak, psychological trauma. When it happens, if you are within that vicinity, you'll be psychologically traumatized. It will take quite a lot, some time before you regain yourself. And it will also result in the release of heat and dust into the atmosphere. You can see from the picture of the damages associated with earthquake, you can see this road has been cut open. This road is no longer motorable. You cannot use this road again. It has to be reconstructed. From this other picture, you've seen how the buildings have been damaged. The buildings have collapsed. Probably people must have died at the cause of this earthquake. This is another picture showing us the damage caused by earthquake. You can see this bridge, how this bridge has collapsed, no longer usable. So earthquake comes with severe, catastrophic damages. Regions where earthquake occur. Earthquake, like I said in my former session when we discussed volcanicity, I said it's the twin of volcanicity. Why? Because every region of volcanicity is also the same region where you have earthquake. They occur within the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the plate boundaries, where you have concentration of the plate boundaries. So where do we have this? About 80% of earthquakes occur around the rim of the Pacific Ocean, called the Ring of Fire. Because of the large number of volcanoes there, the area is a meeting point for many tectonic plates. The area is very, very volatile. That's where earthquake and volcanic activities take place. What are the countries or towns within this Pacific Ring of Fire? We have Japan, Chile, Haiti, Indonesia, New Zealand, Nepal, Ecuador, Mexico, California. All these places I've mentioned, they have history of occurrence of earthquake. Past question. What is the main cause of earthquake? A, volcanic eruption. B, tectonic plate movement. C, heavy rainfall. D, human activity. The right answer there is B, which is tectonic movement. Which term refers to the point inside the earth where an earthquake energy is released? A. Tremor. B. Epicenter. C. Origin. D. Shockwave. The right answer is C, which is origin. What are the two main types of seismic waves responsible for ground shaking during an earthquake? A. Primary and tidal waves. B. Epicenter waves and tremor waves. C. Primary waves and secondary waves. D. Seismic shock and tsunami waves. The right answer is C, which is primary waves and secondary waves. Which point on the Earth's surface is directly above the earthquake's origin? A. Tremor. B. Shockwave point. C. Epicenter. D. Seismic zone. The right answer is C, which is epicenter. Earthquake waves that cause the most ground shaking are A. Primary waves. B. Secondary waves. C. Epicenter. D. Tremor waves. The right answer is B, which is secondary waves. What is the main reason for the occurrence of shock waves during an earthquake? A. Human activity. B. Volcanic eruption. C. Energy release from the earthquake's origin. D. Tectonic plate movement. The right answer is C. Energy release from the earthquake's origin. A seismograph is a device used to A. Sound an alarm. B. Prevent earthquake from occurring. C. Record the vibrations produced during an earthquake. D. Calm the seismologists during an earthquake. The right answer is C, to record the vibrations produced during an earthquake. Recall that the seismograph is calibrated with the Richter scale, scale 1 being the smallest and scale 9 to 10 being the highest. And earthquakes that measures up to scale 9 and above are considered to be severe, causing collapse of buildings, road infrastructure, and the rest. Past fire question 2024. Differentiate between primary and secondary industries. Outline 4 reasons for predominance of light industries in developing countries. Highlight 4 contributions of the industrial sector to the economic development of the country. Primary industries, they are associated with the extraction of primary raw materials as given to us by nature. They are otherwise called extractive industries. Whereas secondary industries are involved in the processing, adding value to the products of the primary industry. So the secondary industry relies on the products of the primary industry. The second point is that the primary industries, primary industrial products includes fishing, lumbering activities, and mining. When you go to the fish, when you go to the river to catch a fish, that fish is a primary industrial product. The lumberman that goes to the forest to cut a tree, that tree is a primary industrial product. When you harness limestone or you drill crude oil, that limestone or crude oil is a primary industrial product. Whereas an example of secondary industrial products are paper mills. That means the tree from the forest has been processed to have the paper. The fish has been processed to have maybe sardine or geisha. The cocoa from the cocoa farms have been produced into beverages to have Milo, to have Bonvita, to have Ovaltine. So that becomes a secondary industrial product. The cotton has been produced to have the clothes that we wear. That is the textile industry now. Another point is that the primary industries are concentrated in rural areas, where the rural areas are agrarian community. The major economic activity there is primary agricultural activities, whereas the secondary industries are clustered in urban areas. The second part of the question was to give reasons for the predominance of light industries in developing countries. Number one is lack of modern technologically driven equipment. Heavy industries require huge or complex machines, whereas light industry require simpler machines. So it is easy to acquire these modern, simple machines. That's why we have the concentration of the light industries in tropical Africa. Limited capital. Of course, every industry requires huge capital outlay. So heavy industries require huge capital outlay, whereas light industry require relatively small capital outlay. So most of the industrialists in developing countries don't have that huge capital outlay. So they have to go for the light industry that requires a smaller amount of money to set up. Availability of labor. The more complex the industrial activity, the more skilled labor that you require. So in tropical Africa or in developing countries, they don't have large chunk of this skilled labor. So they have to go for industries that they have the sufficient amount of labor force. This is where you have light industry, where you can easily source the required labor from the immediate environment. Number four, high demand for consumer goods. Light industry are concentrated or focused on the provision of light consumer goods, which the demand is high in developing countries like Africa. Contributions of industries to the economic development of developing countries. Number one, creation of job opportunities. So many people now, they are working in industry. That's where they earn their income to take care of their families. So it has provided job opportunity for such category of people. It facilitates infrastructure development. Due to industrial processes, governments have to build electricity plants to cater for the needs of the industrial sector. They have to build roads or upgrade existing roads to cater for the transportation needs of the industrial sector. They have to build water supply scheme and several other ancillary or support facilities to meet up the demands of the industrial sector. So this is what we call infrastructural development. It boasts the gross national products of the country. Industries are all about products, provision of products or services. So as this industrialist produces these products, the country can be counted, or the product can be counted as one of the gross national products of that country. It facilitates the transfer of technology. As the expatriates are coming, as investors from outside the country are coming to come and start industrial activity, the locals here, the natives here, the indigenous here in the host community are imbibing that skill, that technology that is needed to operate such industry. Without the operations of industrialists in the Niger Delta region, the local youths there wouldn't know anything about pipeline welding. So that is technology transfer, for an example. It leads to establishment of industrial development institutions. For instance, the Industrial Development Bank was created to meet the need of the industrial sector. The Industrial Training Fund in Nigeria was set up to train skilled labor to meet up the demand of the industrial sector. The Raw Materials Research and Development Council in Nigeria is set up to research, go into research on how the raw materials in Nigeria can be harnessed. And lastly, it stimulates other sectors of the economy. So these are the contributions of the industries to the economic development of the country. Another question for 2024, state 4 pattern of migration. Explain 4 factors that can trigger population movement in tropical Africa. 2C, highlight 3 effects of population movement on the destination region in tropical Africa. This question has to do with migration. Migration is the inward or outward movement of people or persons across a definite geographical boundary. I stress the word across a definite geographical boundary. For migration to take place, you must have crossed a definite geographical boundary. You must have crossed either a town, a village, a city, or even a country. So you must cross a country. So migration is the inward or outward movement of persons across a defined geographical boundary. What are the patterns of migration? You can have urban to urban, where you move from one urban area to another urban area. If I migrate from Abuja, which is an urban area in Abuja, in Nigeria, to Lagos, another urban area in Nigeria, that is urban to urban migration, or one state to state. Rural to urban, you may decide to move from one urban, the city, to another community in the rural area. That's rural to urban migration. Then we have country to country. If one is leaving Nigeria now to the United States, to the UK, to any country of your choice, that means you've crossed from one country to the other. That is international migration. Then migration could be as a result of distress. It could be as a result of war. It could be as a result of political instability. So this type of migration will force people to move. It could be as a result of natural disaster. So they will move, leaving that particular location that is distressed to another place. So that type of migration is what we call distressed or forced migration. Then seasonal migration, from one season to other. A farmer could leave a particular location when the farming conditions are not favorable. Then when the farming conditions are now favorable, he can come back to that particular location. That's seasonal migration, when you leave a place for a particular season and then come back afterwards. Factors that can trigger population movement. In other words, factors that trigger migration. When we talk about migration, we have the source or origin, and we have the destination region. You cannot just leave a particular place to another without a reason. So those reasons are what we call the factors, push factors, that pushes you to leave the source or origin to the destination region. So we have number one of the factors that pushes us to leave. They need to access good infrastructure. People who want to leave the rural areas where they have little or no basic amenities to the urban areas with concentration of basic amenities, just to enjoy the basic social amenities that are prevalent in the urban centers. That could be a trigger factor. You want to enjoy stable electricity supply in the urban center. You want to enjoy good hospitals. You want to enjoy good schools that are available or abundant in the urban center. This could be a factor that will trigger you to move. Number two, they need to unite with family members or spouse. If you are in the rural area and one of your family member is in the city, with time you could want to join up with that family member, or you could want to join up with your spouse, your wife, or your husband that is in another part of the country or city. That could be a trigger factor. The next one is the search for better job opportunities. This is one of the factors that trigger rural to urban migration. There are abundant white-collar job opportunities in the cities. So people, the rural dwellers who want to leave the agrarian economic activity in the rural area to the urban center to seek for white-collar jobs that are prevalent in the urban center. Or it could be to enjoy better condition of service. So many people are leaving the country, one country, to enjoy better condition of service of the same job in another country. A doctor in one country may be practicing in that country, leave his country to another country to street practice medicine in the new destination country where there is better condition of service. Medical tourism, you could leave a particular place to another place to enjoy good medical facilities that are prevalent in that destination country. They need to access higher education. If you are a student, your choice of or your preferred course of study may not be available in your particular location. You have to move to a new location where you have the institution offering the course that you intend to study. That is a trigger factor for migration. Political instability. A war or political instability can cause people to move. Take, for instance, in Nigeria, when there was an uprising in the northeast of the country at some time, people in that part of the country have to move to a safer location still within the country as internally displaced persons. So that is a trigger factor of migration, political instability or youth restiveness. The same thing happened in the Niger Delta region where there was a uprising because of a militancy in the Niger Delta region. Disaster such as earthquake, landslide, flooding, and the rest can cause people to leave their area of location to a safer place. Disease outbreak. The epidemic outbreak will force you to leave one place to another place that is safe.